it's Leela, the proud poly kinky queer slut. Today I want to talk to you about why being a proud slut is important for smashing the patriarchy and is important for women's empowerment. Not only if you're a woman or man, but being sex positive can be a major stance in favor of equality and also in favor of dismantling the root elements of patriarchal control. There is so much history here, and I'm not going to go into all of that history in this short video. I may do some other videos about some of the things that I've been learning about the origin of patriarchy and feminine and the repression of feminine sexuality. But for right now, I want to just make a few key points. One, early patriarchy, ancient patriarchy, all the way up through the patriarchy of our time now. Has a lot to do with controlling a woman's sexuality and reproductive freedom. So this notion of a woman's sexuality being something that is, and sexuality as a whole, any sexuality, the notion that sexuality is sinful is an idea that was introduced in order to help control the bodies of women. And it's an idea that exists throughout so many of our systems because it's a very old notion. It's an old notion that dates back to early agrarian societies and the desire to control the populace and track paternity of children, but also to create a situation where power was consolidated in the hands of a few men. Notice I say a few because there are also links to warfare and how warfare also helped prop up the patriarchy by destroying some of those young men and like literally culling the population of young men. But then that's absolutely a way that patriarchy is horrible for men. But focusing in now, see, I told you, it's hard not to get sidetracked. But specifically when it comes to sexuality. So men telling women that their sexuality, meaning their production of offspring, their reproductive abilities, their, who gets to have comfort from their bodies, but also who gets to be born of their bodies and whether or not they have to have babies. These are elements that were used to essentially enslave women and to create the situation where women are property. And I know women are not property technically in the United States now, but I'll just remind you that it wasn't until the 70s that women could have a credit card. And it wasn't until when my grandmother and great grandmother were still considered property of their husband when they came into this, when they got married, and property of the father when they came into this world. So we're not too far away from it. There are still cultures in this world where women are essentially permanent adolescents because they have to have the permission of men to co-sign off of it on everything. And the justification for that is their sexuality. The justification for that is that we need to control women's sexuality. Why do we need to control women's sexuality? Well, it is about babies. It is about having babies, but it's more about suppressing women's power. It's more that sexuality is inherently a power that women can wield, and it gives women a sense of strength and gives women pleasure and gives women a sense of power. And having control over that is critical to the core of feeling like you are completely strong in yourself. Also, rape culture and the ability to forcibly take away a woman's sexual power is a method of humiliation, and it's a method of enslavement. And frankly, if you can take away the thought that a person has that they can be free, if you can take away a person's sense that they have rights to their body, then you can take away the sense that they are a fully fledged human. And that's just wrong. It's just wrong. So I embrace my sexuality because I am fully in control of my body and I am a fully formed person in and of myself. Thank you very much. And I do not need your permission or I don't need anyone's permission to do anything I want to do of and with my body. That shouldn't be a radical position, but it is. And so when people start talking about, oh, it's not really about the abortion thing. It's not really about the mother. It's about the baby. Well, that's a person, that woman. That's a person you're telling is that they're required to be essentially a life support system. That's a person that you're telling that they're required to dedicate their life to another being. That is not something that most men would be willing to accept with their own bodies. When you're talking about birth control and my ability to decide to have a baby or not have a baby. Having a baby is huge. It's huge. It's life altering. And I need to be able to decide when and how I have babies. If you are deciding when I can or cannot have a baby, then you are deciding how I can and cannot live my life. Sex is not just about producing babies. Sex is also about social bonding. It's about peacemaking. It's about sharing camaraderie and connection. It's about community. It's about collective empathy. It's about joy. It's about celebration. And in ancient times, it's also about worship. It's also about spirituality. It's also about sacred power of sexual freedom, of sexuality as a core power and a spiritual power. And that is something that is lost. That is something lost when sexuality is controlled and not free to be freely given, freely received, freely felt in love. Frankly, promoting sexuality promotes peace. Promoting sexuality promotes love and companionship and, free sexuality. The true understanding that I can have sex with whoever I want and you can have sex with whoever you want, and my feelings about your sex life are none of your business. Your feelings about my sex life are none of my business. Keep that to yourself and deal with it. That allows for building connections in a way that is free of fear and free of ownership and frankly free of shame. Shameless love. And shameless love, shameless power, shameless holding of space is the key to equality. It is the key, shamelessly being you, shamelessly sharing of yourself in the ways that you want with the people that you want is power and freedom. And that's ultimately what Smashing the Patriarchy is about. It's about all of us, not just white men of privilege, but all of us, every single person being able to hold their power and stand free. So yeah, that's why I'm a proud slut. That's why I'm loud about being a slut. That's why I embrace my sexuality publicly and proudly, because I think that I'm not just standing up here saying, hey, I'm a slut. I'm standing up here and saying, there is nothing wrong with me expressing my sexuality and I own my body, not you. And I think that's powerful. Thanks. This is Leela, the proud poly kinky queer slut. Have a great day.